Okay, so we're ready to go to the conduct part of the assessment. That's the third process in the assessment pack. Again, this is our help document. You can also follow in the help document. This document is exactly the same as in your pack. So you can follow everything that I'm saying. You can also follow here on the right hand side. We made again comments. Okay, so I've looked at our pack number 3, conduct, and I've established at this moment that there's 3 instruments in the conduct pack. There is an observation, so I'm going to look at the learner while the learner, answer a telephone phone call on the switchboard, how he or she answers it. The second one is an interview where we're going to ask the learner some questions, and the third one, and this one, is a written test. Now, again, just like previously I said, you can have every single different assessment guide can have different instruments. Some of them only have, for example, project hand-ins. Some only have an observation and a written test. That you will have to see when you get the assessment guide what instruments they actually use. Okay, so there we have our first one here, observation. You can see the processing, incoming, outgoing telephone calls is there. We have the NCAF level, the credits. There's some instructions to me as the assessor to tell me how long it should take, certain things that I need to do and what resources, maybe equipment or anything else that, I need. So the instructions will be in the first page. Let's go over to the next page. Okay, learner contact details, name of the assessor. And here we can see an SO and an AC. Now, an SO stands for specific outcome. So on the unit standard for this program, it refers to this question here, this first evidence that's required here, telephone etiquette, is coming from this unit standard from specific outcome number 1, assessment criteria number 1. So it's the first assessment criteria on the specific outcome one. So there you can go and find and see exactly where did they get these questions or this criteria from. Okay, so there's the first one. You can see the first 2 we already completed for you. You can see observation 1. So there's a first time this learner is assessed on this. Learner was demonstrated how to do it. So exactly, I'm saying, I'm writing there, what did I see? What did the learner do? And it says, okay, it meets the requirement and no action required. Now, one of the times, or basically every single time when we deregister a assessor, is when they go and write C, therefore competency, or not yet competent. You can't declare a person competent on one question, and that's why we're using the correction mark and the cross. Remember, we can't work with percentages and stuff. You're either competent or you're not yet competent, or you meet the requirements or you don't meet the requirements. It's either or, left or right. There's no center. So the next one also, you see we already started completing for you, and it says here, now this learner needs more training. So immediately I can tell you this learner will be not yet competent, because immediately we have one cross here, and that is going to filter down to the summary sheet. So the rest you're going to do with your learner. Carry on with the examples that we provided there. Okay, and that is our judgment sheet for the observation, only for the observation. So now here we're going to say overall, how did the learner do with the observation? You can say here that they meet everything. Yes, some feedback for the learner overall date. And then also just to make sure that the learner agrees, and was happy with everything. We asked the learners, yeah, were you happy with the assessment? Yes. Do you have any complaints? No. So anything that the learners say here, if he says here that he wasn't happy about something, then you can stop and you can fix it before you go further on. But if the learner went here and he says he's happy with everything, and he says yes, 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 and you sign here, the learner signs here, and just everything is hunky-dory, then he can't come back now 2 months later and say, oh no, I had a problem, I wasn't happy. Then the CETA is going to pull the assessment guide and say, yeah, that day the assessor, when the assessor asks you, you said no, you're happy, so I can't help you now. Okay, so that's basically to cover yourself. So that's the observation. That is the interview, exactly the same procedure. And There you can see it's a little bit of a different format, but you're also going to carry on with this here. Okay, same procedure here, the summary. There's a written test again. The learner need to write. There you can say yes or no. He meets the requirements. So any action is required. Now remember, no empty columns now. And no single words. So rules still apply. The learner writes in black pen and the assessor in blue pen. Okay, so there's the outcome of our written test also. Okay, so that is a judgment. Now also remember that we in this case we have three instruments. It's not most of the times it is the same assessor who complete all three instruments or all the instruments, the test papers if you want to call that. But it could also be different assessors. You know, if you've got a lot of learners, then we always say, listen here, that assessor number one, you do all the observations. Assessor number two is doing all the interviews. Assessor number three is doing all the observations or written tests or whatever is the case. So you can have different assessors to doing the different instruments also, as long as everything is in. And again, remember, I need evidence now that this assessment was completed. So if I'm going to go here to the observation, I need proof that you and the learner were there. So I'm going to go back to the observation, and what evidence can I attach here that this observation, that you can take a photo of the learner sitting behind the switchboard. You can take these message pads. You have to take some messages, so you can keep a copy of the message pad, make a photocopy, and attach it as evidence. Look at the telephone directory, and telephone list, make a copy and attach it there. There's all evidence that you were there and the actual assessment took place. Interview, you can again the signatures, but we also can. Record it, you could do a voice recording if you want to go to that extent. A written test, obviously, I want to see that it's not the same handwriting and that it's actually the learner's handwriting. Okay.